Guitar Fam and friends, how's it going? It's Nate here, and as requested, here's the first solo for the Guns N' Roses tune Sweet Child of Mine, and the second solo I'm already working on, so that should be coming pretty soon as well. Let me know what other solos you'd like to see here on the channel. All the videos I've been doing lately have come from the 2023 Guitar Fam student survey. So just prioritizing what songs come first, but I'll look at the comments here too. Some things you need to know about this song. It's down tuned to E flat. What we'll do in this video is go through and get your fingers on the actual notes, just learn where to put your fingers on the frets, kind of paint by number, and then if you want, you can stick around. We'll talk about how he's choosing the notes to play over the chord changes in the second half of the video. Okay, as usual, the jam track and the tab are available for you on guitarfam.com. If you haven't gone there yet, create your complimentary account and you'll get access to the first module of all of our premium courses, and then you can access all the tabs and jam tracks for the cover videos too. Let's get into it. All right, first things first, the chord progression we're playing over, we're in kind of E harmonic minor, so it'd be E minor for a measure, then C for a measure, B or B7 for a measure, and then A minor. There's some tabs on the internet that say it's A major, but it's A minor. Okay. Most of what we're going to do is I'm just going to go through and show you where to put your fingers to play this solo. And if you want to stick around, I'll go through it again and tell you kind of what he was thinking about as far as the shapes and the chord shapes and scale shapes as far as playing over the actual chord changes. We'll go through it again and I'll show you what he's thinking about as far as that. But let's just learn where to put our fingers first. 17th fret, and I'm down tuned to E flat, by the way. Everything's down a half step. 17th fret of the high E string. With your third finger, use all three fingers to push up and bend up a full step and put some vibrato on it. Okay, and for the rhythm on this, I'd really rely on listening to the solo over and over again to where you get to where you can sing it or hum or whistle along to it or whatever. That'll help you play the song. It'll be a lot easier to learn for you. So full step, and let it back down to. Then I shift down to 15 with that same third finger on the 15th fret of the high A string. Then 14 with my second finger, and then hammer on to 15, pull off to 14, and then pull off to 12. Put some vibrato on. So when I do that initial bend, I come set up just like this, 12, 14, 15. And that helps me with that whole little phrase to be set up like that. Then go back to 15 again, then 14, hammer on to 15, pull off to 14, pull off to 12, and then slide to 11. That's the second phrase. So that whole thing so far. And then 12, 14, and I use my second and fourth fingers for those. And then from there, that's kind of the whole first phrase. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I would work on that first and then go on to the next phrase, which the next little lick is this. I'll play it for you, then we'll break it down. Okay, so move over to 15 of the B string with your pinky or third finger, doesn't really matter which one. Bend it a full step, pick it and let it down. And then 12 of the B. Then do the same thing on 14 of G, bend it up a full step, pick it, let it down. And then 12. Then move back down to 11, hammer on to 12, and then I come and grab 14 of the D string for the end of that phrase. So that second little lick. And sometimes I put a little turn in it, a little extra hammer on in there, not just because my mind ends up doing that. Anyway, that's the whole first time through the first progression. So that 14 you end up on this E is where the progression starts over. So we hit that for a half note, this tied to an eighth note triplet, and then we go 11, 12, 14 on the G string, and then 13, 12 on the B string. And then you have 13 again with your second finger, pull off to 12, and slide down to 10. And then as soon as you slide down, you hit it again, you pick it again and put some vibrato on it. So that little lick, and that's a bit of a weird lick. Sliding and then hitting it again, picking it again as soon as you slide. I would listen to that a lot to get the phrasing right. From there, after you hit that 10th fret and put some vibrato on it, and the B string, I'll hop up to the 13th fret with my middle finger, bend that up a whole step, let it down, hit it again, and then go to 12 and hit it twice. Hit it again, bend it up a half step and let it down. And then 14 of the G string, 15 of the high E string with your pinky or third finger, bend it up a whole step, let it back down, and kind of slide out and down. And you're going to be aiming for the 7th fret of the B string here. Let me play that whole phrase for you through the second progression, then I'll move on to the 7th fret. Here you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then as soon as you hit that 15 and bend it up, slide down to 7, and then you just can play 7th fret of the B string with your first finger and do a little quarter step bend up and down real quick. And then the next note is just the 9th fret of the G string. Hit it twice. Second time you hit it, hold down, put some vibrato on it. Then at the end of that measure 9 on the tab, you go back to fret 7, have that same bend, just a half step bend with your index finger. Let it back down, back to fret 9, same phrase. Hit it twice, put some vibrato on it the second time. Then go down to the 8th fret of that G string with your middle finger. And bend it up a half step. So let it down after that bend, hit 8th fret, and slide up to the 11th fret. So that whole phrase. Once you slide up here, you're going to go back to kind of your home base of the 7th fret here and do that same bend again. 7th fret of the B string, half step bend, let it back down. 9th fret of the G string with your third finger. Then you hop back to the 4th fret of that G string with your first finger. And there's a grace note, just a little accent. And you just hit the 4th fret really quickly and hammer onto the 5th fret. Back to the 4th fret of the G string. And back to the 5th fret. And then what you do is you go to the 7th fret of the G string with your pinky or third finger, whichever one you want to hit that with. Hit it and slide up quickly to the 9th fret. Okay, so let me play that whole last little phrase for you. And again, the biggest thing that I had to do to learn this solo was listen, listen, listen until I could sing the phrasing. So I'll start from the 3rd time through the progression on measure 9. Here you go. Or just before that, the 8th note before that. Measure 8. Here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, last time through the progression, we just came off of this 7 to 9. Go back to the 7th fret of the B string. Do your little bend again, half step bend, let it down. And then just 9 of the G string with your third finger. And then 8 of that same G string with a half step bend. And then you have the same 8 to 11 slide. And then I come back here to the 9th fret with my second finger. I'm doing it with the second finger just because I like the way it feels. Full step bend. And then 9th fret, no, not bent, and just play a whole note, tied to another whole note with some vibrato on it to finish the solo. So I'm going to play that last phrase, or just starting from before that last phrase. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. You don't have to go from your second finger to your second finger there on the 9th fret. That's just the way I like end up doing it. You can use your first finger or even collapse back with your 3rd finger, whichever one's more comfortable for you. So that's the whole thing. Watch the full performances at the end of this video. Now let's get into like what he's thinking about as far as playing over the chord changes here. So this first note is bending up to, it's just a B note, and that's, he's playing over an E minor, so E, G, B. He's bending up to the 5th of that E minor chord, which is cool. And then he kind of collapses back and starts thinking about this E minor pentatonic for a good long stretch here. The next phrase is, and that's over a C chord. He's just thinking E minor, but he's targeting this E note, which is the 3rd of a C major chord. If he's thinking about the C major chord, the 3rd E is right there. So right there. And then the next little phrase is, he targets the 3rd again, but this time the chord is changed to a B, so it's moving from this C to a B right there. So that's interesting to think about that. I'm still thinking about E minor, but I'm thinking about also this C shape for C and then the C shape for a B2, targeting the 3rds. And then from there, over the A minor, I really just shift my thinking to just E minor pentatonic. This. So this, I'm just thinking about an E minor or an E minor pentatonic. And then when that last 14th fret of the D string, that's an E note. So he lands on the root note of the E note as the E chord is being played, E minor chord is being played. So that's a great way to think about just targeting the root of the E chord as you're playing it, right? The next little lick, he thinks, he just kind of shifts to thinking about just E natural minor. So he plays that, and as he comes down here to the 10th fret, I'm just thinking, really just still thinking E minor. It ends up being the 6th of a C chord, which I'm not really thinking about the C chord that much. But once I go to that lick over the B chord, I'm definitely targeting the B root note. All right, the next lick over that A minor, what I'm doing is that 12th fret, I'm bending up to what would be the 3rd of the A minor. So I really am seeing this A minor chord shape. So I'm bending up to the C, letting it down. And that 14th fret is an A, so that's the root note of the chord. And then the 15th fret you're bending up to, or starting on bending and coming back down to, is the 7th, the lower 7th of an A, would be an A minor 7th chord. Then I slide back down and get into the next time through the progression starting on the 7th fret. And when I do that, I see this E minor chord, and the note I'm bending up to is the 3rd of the chord. And then I hit the root. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking through the 3rd time over that E minor. And then when you do it again, you're playing over a C chord, which it ends up being this note you land on is an E, so that's the 3rd of a C major chord, and then I see this shape for the C major chord. And then once I play that 8th note bent up, I land on it. That's the 3rd of the B major chord. And then I slide up to the 11th fret, which is an F sharp. So I'm targeting the 5th B, D sharp, F sharp. Right? Okay, so from there I come back to the same little thematic bend. And I'm playing over A minor now, so I do a little theme. And then I come back to 4 to 5. And really what I'm targeting here is the 3rd of the chord again. The C note right there. I'm kind of dancing around that over the A minor chord. And from there you just slide up from 7 to 9. That's the majority of measure 13 over an E minor chord. So I'm just sliding up from the lowered 7th of the E minor chord to the root note. So I'm thinking about this E minor shape. Then I come back to my little theme over my C chord, which is cool because I'm still targeting the 3rd, that E note. I'm thinking about this shape. then bend up 8, 8 to 11. And again, B, D sharp, F sharp. I'm targeting the fifth of the B major chord, F sharp, right there. And then I go back to 9th fret. And I'm playing that over an A minor chord. When that's an E note that I'm playing, and I kind of bend up before and land on the E, which is the 5th A, C, E of an A minor chord. So that's what he's thinking about, like whether he's playing it by ear or he intentionally wrote out the solo or wrote the solo to conform to these chords. Who knows? But he plays this solo pretty much the same way every time on the videos that I've seen. So it leads me to believe that he wrote this with a lot of intention. So it's a real good study in how to use pentatonic scales, a little bit of minor scales, and some arpeggios to target chord tones to make an interesting and very memorable, iconic solo. Okay, that's it for this video. Like I said, I'm working on the second solo, the main one that everybody wants to learn. I'll have that out as soon as possible. Let us know what other videos you'd like to see here on the channel. If you have any questions at all, hit us up, support@guitarfam.com. And if you haven't yet, go to guitarfam.com and create your complimentary account, or better yet, become a monthly or annual premium member, and you'll be able to access all of our premium courses and always there for you if you have any questions along the way. Thanks.